Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to walk you guys through the drawing process for the 1K Draw This in Your Style that's currently going on my Instagram page. Yes, I'm gonna plug my Instagram. You guys are welcome to submit all the way up through June 1st, but I'll get into that later. This whole drawing took me about 6 hours, but I sped up the time-lapse about 600%. So you guys can just sit back and watch me draw this. You guys seem to like when I just ramble for an hour. Maybe it isn't some nice ambient noise while you're drawing yourself or just going about your day. But yeah, let's get into it. This piece was drawn on my new sketchbook, sketchbook number 11. I haven't finished my last sketchbook, but I really wanted to get going on this new Mossery sketchbook that I got for upcoming events and just generally a to-go size sketchbook for me. And I love this sketchbook. If you guys have seen my sketchbook tour or pretty much listened to me talk for any extended period of time, you know I love two things in the art world. It is Strathmore sketchbooks and it is gel pens. However, I will say that this Mossery surprised me with how affordable it was. I want to say it was less than 20 bucks. Which is a awesome deal for such a quality sketchbook in my opinion. The Sharpie, liner, gouache, everything I used for this piece, nothing bled through, which I was very happy with. The reviews that I saw for this sketchbook online said that pretty much the only thing that would bleed through would be alcohol markers, which is good for me because I hate those. So, yeah, I love this. I really wanted to start off the first few pages with some finalized pieces, so yeah, even though I didn't finish sketchbook number 10, I just wanted to really get started on this one, and I am so happy with how this piece turned out. The pages are really thick, and I really like that about the Mossery sketchbook. I was nervous that with a paper that had the reviews of being pretty smooth and poreless, I was nervous that the way I drew with the pencil would indent on the paper in ways that I've seen in previous sketchbooks, but I didn't notice that at all. And as a matter of fact, I found that my lining and sketching abilities with this type of paper were really well matched to my abilities and my preferences. So I am really excited to see what else I can create in this sketchbook. In addition to that, the size ramifications of the sketchbook, it's like over a third smaller than the usual size that I work with. I was scared that that would kind of overwhelm me or like inhibit me in some way, but almost in an ironic sort of way, I feel like it helped with my art process and creativity. I pretty much just put on the paper what I wanted to draw. Usually I do a couple thumbnail sketches just to see what type of pose I want and get comfortable with the right vibe for the piece, but for this one I pretty much just drew it and finished it. Everything in the video was pretty much my entire drawing process for this, which was pretty unusual, and the time it took to create this piece was also unusually short for me, which I really enjoyed. Now that I'm seeing this sketch, I'm seeing how the left line is totally not straight. That is a pet peeve I'm gonna have to get used to while talking to you guys today, but I ended up finishing it up in Canva and editing the photo a little bit for the final Instagram piece that you guys see on my page. But let me talk a little bit more about the Draw This in Your Style itself. So as a disclaimer, there are a couple different instances in the video where you see things like my hair poking out, my nose, my face. Sometimes my video, I'll film like little snippets of my process for other platforms, and I'm sorry about that. I feel like I should just get that out of the way because I don't know if that's a pet peeve for some people, but I am still, experimenting with different ways of filming, and I actually really like this filming method. I finally figured out a good overhead view that I was really happy with, and I hope you guys are happy with as well. So I recently hit 1K on Instagram. As the majority of you guys probably know at this point, this is not my first account on Instagram, and I was really happy to reach that milestone. It communicates to me that the want for my art is still there, and you guys are super supportive of me on pretty much every platform that I'm on, and I'm really grateful for that. So I really wanted to just knock it out of the ballpark this time and give you guys a really creative idea to work with, just for fun. I'm hoping that once we reach a new milestone, I'll have some more giveaways planned for these competitions. But for the meantime, I just wanted something pretty chill for you guys, and I decided to draw my OC Anna. This is a character that I've had with me for about 10 years at this point. You guys probably recognize her. No pressure if you don't. She's shown up plenty of times in my sketchbook tours. She was one of the first OCs that I created, and she just has this super bubbly personality that represents a lot of the optimistic perspective that I kind of wish that I had on the world and kind of strive to have in the world. So she's a super big inspiration for me, kind of like a muse almost for my art. Every time I draw her, it's like the drawing just jumps back out at me, like it already knows what it wants to be, and I just need to find it. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about here. It's so inspiring and so, I don't know, fulfilling to draw this character for me. So it was a really great time drawing this piece. And of course, I have to draw a furry for some reason. You know what? I don't have to explain myself. The paws are cute, and you guys know that. I mean, come on. These look so cute on her. She is so cute. And I kind of wanted to go for almost like a 2003 webcore type look to it. A very like MySpace, early Tumblr type aesthetic in the background with like a pop-up window. The piece is titled Anna.exe. And I don't think I've ever really attempted a type of drawing like this before. So I was really pleased with how it came out and thoroughly enjoyed every stage in the process in this drawing. Now, again, this is a Draw This in Your Style on my Instagram page. I have my Instagram linked down in the description of this video on my YouTube. You guys can find me pretty easily on Instagram. It's everywhere. It's not hard to find my Instagram. This is really just for fun. I don't have any giveaways planned for this one specifically. I just wanted something more casual. And I will be sharing entries on my story and page until June 1st. So you guys are welcome to keep drawing this piece, of course, after June 1st, but I won't be managing like the hashtag after that. There's more details about how to post and what to tag when you're posting and what to include in your post in the actual description on my Instagram page, so I'll let you guys take a look at that if you're interested. But yeah, in general, no AI art, no tracing, just the usual stuff that people ask for and Draw This in Your Styles. But I really hope this is a fun prompt for you guys to draw. I had a ton of fun drawing it, and Anna is a super personal character for me that I love sharing with you guys. So I hope that you guys had a lot of fun drawing this one. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm currently doing the voiceover for this on Friday morning, the morning that I'm supposed to be posting this video. It should be posted right now as I speak, but it's not, and I have some pretty good excuses this time, I promise. But hopefully you guys don't notice. It'll probably be posted maybe a couple hours later. I'll be exporting this as soon as I finish this voiceover. So it's almost like I'm talking to you guys at the same time as you're watching this. Right? Isn't that weird? Anyways, I mentioned in my last video that I posted that I was currently looking for a new job. There's been some budget restrictions in my current workplace that have negatively affected my income, and it makes it a lot harder for me to pay my bills while also keeping up the content and art creation for Shiduga. So I've been looking for a new job so that I can have that security to keep working on my business and this YouTube channel, essentially. I've been working on some interviews for a couple of executive assistant positions that I applied for this week, and in addition to that, I was working on preparation for an event I was supposed to have this weekend, but I'm not anymore. So it's been a hectic week, to say at the very least. I have a feeling this video is going to be really rambly and a little confusing at parts. It's kind of difficult for me to edit the voiceovers for an hour-long video. Once it starts getting past like the 20 or 30 minute mark, it's hard for me to manage the quality of the voiceover without taking away so much of the content that I have like big open spots without voice in it. So you guys are welcome to listen to me stuttering and laughing and giggling and not really understanding what I'm trying to say. Enjoy the next hour of this. On a completely unrelated note, I went to the doctor yesterday. I haven't seen a doctor in like 5 or 6 years, so don't come for me, but I got some blood work done yesterday and I'm pretty excited with the next steps in the process. I was looking into some anti-anxiety medicine and getting potentially diagnosed with some of the mental illness that I highly suspect I have. And that's a wonderful, great next step in the process, but I had to get up at 6 a.m. for it yesterday, and yesterday was such a long day. Speaking of, yesterday was 420, which we all know what 420 is, but more importantly, it was my cat's second birthday, so please wish my cat Amethyst a happy birthday today. Well, I guess tomorrow, or if you even are watching this on Friday, it was yesterday. But anyways, her birthday was on 420, weirdly enough. She turned 2. We got her a nice big can of tuna, and then of course, you know, we got ourselves some pizza, because how else are you gonna spend 420? I'm finally into the gouache stage on this piece. That pretty much takes up the last 40 minutes of the video. I had so much fun trying out this acrylic gouache. I've used gouache before, but this was my first time making a piece with it that was so easy to make. I've had a lot of difficulty making pieces with gouache in the past, but not because of the gouache itself, for my own reasons. I've used crappy gouache itself, crappy paper, crappy pieces to make with gouache, but this was the first time where I was really comfortable with the medium, and I had a ton of great supplies to use it with. My partner got me new brushes, and he actually got me this gouache as well as a gift. The brush is an amazing quality that I really, really loved using. And the gouache has pigments that are illegal in the US. I didn't even think that was possible. I have no idea how he got this to ship to the US, but as you could tell in the box, it was clearly Japanese. I think he got it from Japanese eBay, like, for lack of a better phrase. I don't know how to phrase that better, but he won't tell me what website he bought it on. He just says it's like a Japanese website he bought it on. Okay, I'll believe him. The gouache is amazing. It's Holbein, I think? I believe it's Holbein. I'm gonna check. Okay, yes, it is Holbein, and if any of you guys know anything about art products and quality art products, you know Holbein is like cream of the crop gouache. So this was a wonderful piece to make. Truly, truly, there are some situations where the quality of your art supplies do change the quality of the art. I will say that the Mossery definitely primed the gouache to be great to work with. I think if I had worked with the gouache that I do have, which is the generic brand gouache that you can find at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, if you really want to shop at Hobby Lobby, that gouache would probably work totally fine with this paper as well. But I really wanted to try out the gifts that my partner gave for me, and it was beautiful. I highly recommend all of the products I used in this video. I had a little bit of difficulty with getting the skin tones right on this piece. Anna is white, but is supposed to have tan skin because she was originally prototyped as like a farmer type character. And so I want her to have a more olive complexion, if not just outright tan. And it's difficult to convey that with paints without making it look too orange. Just in my experience, my color theory is not great. I'm way better suited to sketching in line art, so I really lack when it comes to coloring and rendering. But I ended up fixing the pigments here. Usually when it gets to be too orange or yellowy, adding more of a blue or a red tends to even out that skin tone complexion in my experience. And I ended up repainting the skin with a color that I really liked. Eventually. Anna also canonically has a red shirt with blue overalls. One of the straps on her left shoulder is broken, so that side just kind of hangs down, and she wears green fluffy socks. That's her outfit. She has an overcut? Like, how do you say that? She has super, like, rat tails, but not rat tails, because that is so... No, it is not rat tails. That is such a disservice to her character. She has really long braids, but the top of her hair is cut to be short and fluffy. So it's like rat tails if the rat tails were like really big floofy braids. I don't care, I love it, and I will defend that hairstyle until the day I die. It's perfect for her, I love it. But that's her outfit. She has blue eyes with kind of green tints in them, and so at the beginning of this painting process, I think I went a little too heavy on the green, so I tried to balance it out with more blue with the pupils and the painting style of the eyes. So I hope I captured that balance pretty well, and I'm going in now to try to add some blush and even out the skin tone that I have with her. Eventually it gets less yellow and less pink, but it was kind of rough at first. You gotta trust the process. I was preparing for an event this weekend. It was supposed to be in Bloomington, and it was going to be all weekend, but I ended up canceling it because of the rain and wind that's supposed to be happening this weekend. It's an outdoor event, and my products are all prints and stickers. I just didn't want to mess with it, so I ended up withdrawing from the event for this weekend, which is great because it gives me more time to prepare for some interviews that I have coming up without sacrificing the work for, like, content online for you guys. My next convention is the Indiana Comic Convention, the first week of May 5th I think it starts. I'm so excited for that one. Anime Crossroads went so well for me, and it was a fairly intimate event compared to Indiana Comic Con, so I'm really excited to see how that event fares for me. And I'm anticipating making a vlog type video for that. I would love to hear if you guys would like that idea, or what you guys would like me to focus on in another convention style vlog. But anyways, back to my original point. The reason why I am so behind on the voiceover for this video and posting it, I have a very good reason. We had somebody in our house yesterday doing work on our bathroom, like he was recalking the shower that we have in the bathroom, and I expected him to be there on Monday, so I had been waiting all week for him to get here, and he finally got here on Thursday, which is my freest day of the week, ironically enough. It's Friday and Thursday and Friday I stay home all day from my job, and I work on Shiduga for the most part. I do most of my filming, content, voiceovers, big stuff like that where I really need to just be sitting down in my office speaking to a camera for large periods of time. I do most of that on Thursdays. And of course, he was here on Thursday, immediately after I got back from my doctor's appointment. He was here, and he stayed here until about 4 p.m. when Jake gets home and I can't film anymore. So I had a very good reason to not film yesterday, I promise you guys. In other news, I have recently gotten myself mixed up into a little bit of drama with some artists online, and I don't really want to bring more attention to it than has already been brought, but you know, while you and I are sitting here for the next 40 minutes, I'm trying to think of things to fill the time, and this is what I've got coming into my head right now. I saw a video on my feed, or it was recommended to me from a vendor that I work with, a organizer that I'm consigned with and have done events with, making a video about artists having a bad attitude at events where they don't really make a profit at. The context that you need to know for the video is that this specific organizer was referring to artists who are pretty frustrated that they didn't make their money back at an event that they vended at. So for anybody who is not familiar with how events work with organizers and artists, usually an artist will pay a fee to vend at an event that an organizer is putting together and sell their art at that event. So it's kind of like a watered down version of how conventions and big expos work. It's kind of like just a pop-up shop. Essentially the exact same thing that usually a small team or one person puts together, a miniature event over like one day or a span of days, and an artist will pay a fee and sell their products at that event. And this video was specifically discussing the types of artists who are frustrated that they didn't make their money back after an event when they were having like a bad mentality at the event and kind of spending that event being frustrated that they weren't making the money back that they expected to make. Now I will say I have experienced this so many times over the past year of vending at events. I've vended at events with a handful of people as opposed to the hundreds of people that I expected to come. I vended at events where there were hundreds of people but they just didn't like my products and I didn't make my money back. I've vended at events where one person organized it, we anticipated a small number of traffic, and there was way more traffic than I expected, and I had to continuously remake products and sell out. I've vended at events where a large number of people were expected to attend and just didn't attend, and I didn't make the money back, or I just barely made even. So many different experiences can happen from events. That's just kind of the nature of pop-up shops. You can have anything from weather to conflicting events, to the time of the year, to the demographic that you're approaching. Anything like that can affect the profit that you anticipate making at an event. Generally, the main sway of traffic and demographic at an event comes through your marketing channels. So depending on where you advertise your market, you could be more or less efficient in bringing a specific demographic or a specific number of people to your event. This could be through sending out flyers at your local coffee shop, posting job or event notifications on like DO317. Anything like that could help you bring more people and specific types of people to your event. This organizer was discussing those artists who have attended the event and were frustrated that they then didn't make a profit at that event. Almost like they had an expectation to make a profit back at the event. And yes, I am building up to this. I did respond to that video with a hearty and very angry video. Now, for context, this organizer has made this type of video before on their platform, often sourcing real experiences from artists who keep up with them on social media and can see that they have used their personal interaction with that organizer as content farming on their platform. I mean, can we see how that is already problematic from the start? With the context that this organizer has made several videos like this before, and my experience of hearing this perspective from not just this organizer, but several other organizers, and from organizers of the experiences that I've heard from other artists, I've had lengthy discussions with multiple people over the past year on different ways that organizers have essentially indicated that the profits that they make at an event are directly tied to their willingness to market the event and their mentality and attitude during the event. Or, even worse, which is even more popular, that their products are the reason why they didn't make a profit at an event. I had a video that went viral last year with the old TikTok videos that are no longer on my account. I made a video discussing, not even discussing, it was like a meme video with a meme audio where I said, like, I'm on my way to go set up at an event for 5 hours just to sit in the sun and barely make back the profit. Yippee. Like something like that, something stupid like that. A very common issue that a lot, if not every vendor has experienced in their vending life, where you spend all week preparing for this event, you go to the event at 8 a.m., oftentimes even earlier, and set up for several hours just to sit outside, burn to a crisp, and not really get the foot traffic you need to sell your art. That video originally went viral because of how relatable that was to plenty of vendors. I've spoken with tens and tens of vendors over the past year that have had the identical experience that I was discussing in that video. But then it went viral again a couple months later for a few different reasons. One commenter, who I assume was deranged, was starting to reply to every single comment in that video, saying that it was my attitude and my shitty products as the reason why I wasn't making a profit at these events. Of course I had to respond to that, because how disrespectful is that to automatically assume that the reason you're not making money is inherently because of your products. Like, that's the first thing you should look at, is your products. As an artist, I think all of us can agree that self-worth and self-confidence in our art is a rampant issue in our society, and as something that is so personal to our identity and our mental health, it's very easy for us to internalize our self-worth through our art and see our art as less than it actually is. And it's even worse to live in a society that doesn't value art on the same level that they value other forms of creation or other valid career choices, more real valid choices like business or sitting in a cubicle all day. Things that just aren't creatively driven are genuinely seen as not viable careers or not like valid ways of expressing yourself. So the video went viral again for a second time, filled with people who have never vended or sold their art, telling me that it was my bad attitude, my shitty products, verbatim, as the reasons why I wasn't making a profit at this event. I'm fortunate enough to have the confidence in my own art to not have this really sway me, but I'm not going to lie and pretend like that wasn't a hurtful thing to hear. I mean, who would realistically say that they're not hurt when a video goes viral filled with hundreds of comments telling you that it's your fault that you're not making money? That's kind of hurtful, saying like it's directly because of my personality and the quality of the art that I make. That's the reason why I'm not making money. That's inherently going to be hurtful. However, at that point, I had been vending for a couple months. I've had quite a few successes with events, and I had built a network of friends that I could talk to about this, specifically in the art community. So I wasn't as, I wasn't as affected by this as I could have been if I was a smaller artist or a newer artist to the art community. Okay, with all of that context in mind, I'm gonna bring you right back to this video that I watched. I saw the video of an organizer that organizes these events for artists, making a video about artists that are kind of rude about the fact that they didn't make profit at these events. Like, it's kind of inherently our fault if we're bringing a bad mentality to the event, that we didn't make a profit back at those events. And again, for context, this wasn't the first video I'd seen on their page, and they know that. Plenty of people in this community with this organizer know that this is not the first time that they've made this sort of content. Often using real experiences from real interactions with artists to farm views and grow their platform online as a business. I made a video that was about 2 minutes in response to this 6-second video discussing the power dynamic that organizers and artists have in this sort of event space. You guys are welcome to go find the video. I won't be linking anything or dropping any names because I really don't want this to escalate. I just wanted a space to discuss my thoughts on this in a little bit more depth for anybody who is interested. But I do not condone anybody going to hate on the organizer. I don't condone anybody hunting down these videos. I just don't condone any more negativity with this. Most of the time, people were very honest about their experiences in my video, and I've had generally an overwhelmingly positive reception to the video. I just don't want to make it seem like I want to hate monger around this organizer, because I've had some really positive interactions with this organizer in the past, and that's just not the way that I want to conduct. That's not the way you want to conduct yourself online, you know? We can discuss problems in the art community without hating on specific individuals in that community, right? We can discuss our differing opinions and reasons why these opinions are flawed and not taking into context more perspectives without actually hating on that person and diminishing them as like an individual or a creative, right? Okay, we got that out of the way. Finally, all the build up, I'll talk about my video. My video was very bluntly put. I will say that I was very angry filming that video, and you can tell in the video if you've seen it. I was very angry. I'm not going to hide that. I was very blunt in that video. I was not trying to sugarcoat anything, and I was taking the content of that video that I had seen from the organizer, I was taking that content very seriously in the video. It was not being interpreted as a joke in that video. To me, it was representative of a larger issue in the community, and I was taking that issue very seriously. I described a very controversial and taboo perspective in the art community that artists should expect a profit at these events. For some reason, that is an extremely controversial view that has gotten me several hate comments and disagreements between individuals over the past year. It's a very taboo topic in the art community to expect a profit from your art. At some point, artists are kind of viewed as these like saviors online, posting their hard work and craft for anybody to see for free, and it is rampant in the art community that artists will get their work shit on, stolen, traced, copied, reproduced, degraded, downgraded, insulted, for absolutely no reason at all. There's just not a comparable amount of respect for artists that there are for other mediums. So yes, videos from organizers, even making light of some shitty artists that are unreasonably rude to small organizers about the profit at their event, even for those artists, this is still an extremely sensitive topic in the art community. And regardless of the amount of like humor or joke or lightheartedness about this topic, the fact that this type of content came from an organizer and not specifically an artist, that creates an uneven power dynamic between the two different parties. And it is inherently disrespectful to talk about a topic like this without understanding the context that artists have in the art community. That was the basic premise of my video, that there is an expectation of artists to expect a profit from the events, and it should not be taboo to say that. I don't care if it's a one-person event or a huge expo. If I'm paying money to sell my art somewhere, I'm expecting to make that money back. Why is that a taboo thing to say? And why is it taboo or cringe to be upset when I didn't make that money back in an event when I had the expectation to? Why is that humor-filled content? Why is that like an experience that should be shared online to laugh at? It's not a laughing matter when you consider the hard work that artists put into preparing for these events and curating their craft, the decades it takes to get to the level of skill it requires to be able to market your art and creations to a wider demographic. It takes years to build an art skill. It is a trade. I will die on that hill. It is a trade. Much like learning electricity or learning plumbing or learning any sort of trade skill, art is a trade. It takes years and decades, a lifetime of growth in order to improve your craft. And by the time you're ready to have art that is on a level that can be sold, you then have to learn the basics of marketing, business strategies, how to organize your time, different strategies that other people can spend in college or in other academic settings in order to improve their skills as an entrepreneur or business owner. Oftentimes, art is the smallest fraction of what goes into selling your art. The art is the smallest piece of the puzzle. There's so much more that goes into marketing and selling your art as digestible products for consumers that it's insulting to degrade the quality of their products when artists are frustrated that they don't make a profit, right? I spend 10 years developing my craft as art, right? I spend 10 years building my skills in anatomy, color theory, structure, composition, learning different mediums, learning different skill sets, just to be able to create art that can be seen universally as beautiful by like societal standards, right? That alone takes 10 years. I've also spent 2 years separately learning the different strategies of how to grow online and build my art platform online so that other people can see it and support it. I've also spent that 2 years learning the basics of creating products. It's an entirely different medium to learn printing spaces, CMYK print forms, manufacturing etiquette, learning what to bring to an artist alley, how to present your products in a way that makes people want to spend money on it. That also takes a sort of trade or skill to develop. Okay, so we understand that. We can kind of put that aside because we all understand that. When it comes to events, artists have to prepare their products and spend time developing products that will be marketable to their demographic. We also have to put in the research to find and vet events that we think will be good for our demographic. Like, I'm not going to sell my anime art at a farmer's market because my demographic will probably not be at a farmer's market, and if it is, it won't be in as high ratios as it would be at like an anime convention, for example. So I have to put in the research it takes to find the events that are best suited for my type of product. And by the time the event is fully set up, I have then spent years developing my craft, years learning how to market my product, weeks preparing those products for the event, and hours the day of the event traveling, setting up, preparing everything, getting ourselves ready to be marketable and interact with customers to sort of sell them on our products. That takes time and energy that doesn't even go into the process of creating the art itself. I'm not saying that organizers don't put in a comparable amount of effort on their own side. Event organizers simply have different expectations at an event. Event organizers don't need to spend decades developing an art craft in order to market their event. They don't need to spend weeks preparing products in order to get ready for an event. Oftentimes, they don't even need to travel to these events because they are typically local to the organizer's location. The main expectation for an organizer is to prepare an event that is attractive to a consumer, attractive enough to prioritize their schedule over other opportunities for consumers to spend their day, right? They need to put together an attractive event that will bring in traffic and market that event so that more people understand what opportunities they have for that weekend. That's the expectations of an organizer. In addition to collecting the event information, organizing that information for vendors, and communicating that to the attendees, they also have to manage the expectations of tens, sometimes hundreds of different artists, artist schedules, expectations, needs, and limitations. They have to kind of be the organizer. That's why they're called the organizer. They organize all of the needs of every single person that will be involved in this event. They have to organize that and condense it down into a functioning event for everybody involved. I'll be the first person to say that that is not an easy balance to strike. I've vended at many events that did not manage to strike that balance and understand both the needs of their vendors as well as the consumers. It is a hefty responsibility, especially if you're a new organizer or somebody who is running this by themselves. It is a hefty responsibility to be able to manage and effectively organize all of that information at once. However, I just outlined my personal expectations for an artist and a vendor. Each party has a significant amount of work to bring to the table. An artist brings the products and a vendor brings the traffic. That is the expectation at an event. And this was the dynamic that I discussed in the video. The smaller the event is, the more crossover there is as well. Oftentimes, smaller events will ask that their artists help promote the event, which is very valid. We would want to collect the demographic from each artist to bring a collective demographic to that event. That is a very logical choice to make. You know, if you have specific artists, you're trying to bring that specific artist's demographic to that event. So, of course, asking that artist to promote the event would help with that sort of traffic. In addition to that, organizers are often asked to create graphics and attractive displays for the event itself. That's a sort of art creation that artists can understand. Creating beautiful posters and other advertising strategies that are very attractive for consumers is a pretty artist-heavy responsibility that organizers can certainly help out with. I don't have a problem with any small event not having the traffic to support all of their artists. That is just an unavoidable fact of small events that you can't really escape by virtue of being a small event. The issue that I had was miscommunicating the intention and meaning behind the frustration of those artists who didn't make profit back. There's a tone in this organizer's videos that indicate that when an artist is frustrated that they didn't make profit back at the event, that it is inherently on them as the artist, that it is inherently their fault that they didn't promote the event enough, or that the products they brought weren't high quality enough, or they were sour to customers and had a bad mentality at the event and didn't encourage sales often enough. That the first thing to look at when an artist isn't making a profit at an event, the first thing to look at is what the artist was doing wrong. That is what I had an issue with. Let me tell you my perspective and experience as an artist trying to sell anime art in the middle of the fucking Midwest, in the middle of Indiana, like the most conservative state in the North. Let me tell you my experience with that. 9 times out of 10, traffic is the reason why I don't sell, not the quality of my art. There's something to be said about an artist understanding their demographic and what events to pursue. I would never say that the success of an event is inherently flawed simply because I'm there, I should be making a profit. I would never say that. I would never go to a farmer's market and then be mad at the farmer's market because I didn't make a profit there. Obviously, I'm not going to make a profit there because my demographic is not going to be there if I'm selling anime art. You see what I'm getting at? However, for events where I have done the research, I fully understand the type of demographic coming to that event, and I have trusted the experiences of previous vendors, the expectations set by the organizer themselves. I fully understand what I should be getting into, and I have trusted that organizer with my money, and I've trusted the demographic of that event to have the sales back if there was enough foot traffic. In those situations, it is not the artist's fault for not making profit back. It just simply isn't. Even at events that were focused mainly on vintage or more like handmade crafts like resin or macrame, even at events that were focused more towards that demographic of people, I've been able to hold my own and make a profit, simply because the quality of my art is just that good. I'm able to make a profit even in spaces where I don't have my specific demographic because of the quality of my art and the quality of my sales experience and customer service. So to hear an organizer say that anime artists at anime events frustrated that they aren't making a profit back with their anime art is because they have a bad attitude at the event, it's a slap in the face, to say the least. As an artist giving a vendor the money to afford organizing an event and promoting that event, to not get that money back from selling your art is insulting, and it defies the expectations of the entire purpose of the event. Why would I be spending money to be at this event if I don't expect to make that money back? It already costs money to create my stuff. It costs money to prepare the products. It costs money to travel to the event. It costs my time and energy to be up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday just to sell my art at this event. It costs money. It is very expensive to do that. So why would I give my money to this organizer if it wasn't with the intent of making that money back? And why should I, as the artist, be the first person to look at when feeling frustrated at the lack of sales at an event? That type of mentality to me just reads an inherent disrespect for the work that artists make. It kind of just makes the assumption that the first thing we should take a look at is what the artist did wrong in this situation, not a look at the greater context of the environment the artist was selling in. All of that to say, I stand by my original viewpoint that the organizer misunderstood the meaning and intention behind the artist's frustration at that event. I think that there was a misunderstanding on the expectations of between an artist and an organizer, and I think there was an additional misunderstanding of on the organizer's part to understand what they bring in this financial compromise between an artist and an organizer. Yes, when I pay an organizer money to attend their event, I do not expect myself to advertise that event. I shouldn't have to advertise that event in order to make a profit. That's why I gave the organizer money. It is difficult for artists to find enough traffic independently to support their craft without going to these events. And that creates an inherent uneven power dynamic between artists and vendors, where artists need to pay money to organizers in order to profit from their art. Artists give money to event organizers so that event organizers can advertise an event to bring in more traffic than an artist otherwise normally would. So under that logic, when an artist is then frustrated that they didn't make enough money to profit from that event, the first thing that you should look at is the traffic and audience of that event. And by extension, looking at the work that the organizer put into the event, right? The reception on my video was overwhelmingly positive. At this point, it has maybe 150 to 200 comments on it, and I think I can count on one hand how many comments disagreed with my perspective or had an alternative perspective to consider. And to me, this communicates that this is a topic that is rarely talked about in the art community. Artists are so used to being trampled on by people who don't know what it takes to be an artist that we've just kind of started to assume that our art is the issue in these situations. That makes me sad because as artists, we've spent our lives developing this. We've put our lives into this. And to have our lives put at stake and put up for questioning when we are dissatisfied with the base expectations we had for an event, it's hurtful and it's disrespectful and it dehumanizes the very people that pay organizers' bills, the artists. It's not the consumers or the traffic coming to the event that helps the organizers pay their bills at night. It's the fucking artists that paid the money to be there. The artists are what make the event. I think artists are put on trial too often for issues that have nothing to do with them. We are constantly defending the quality of our work to people who wouldn't listen to us anyways. And paying money to a third party to help us pay for these events inherently creates an unequal power dynamic where an organizer takes money from an artist in order to maybe give them that money back. But at the end of the day, the organizer will always turn a profit regardless of the success of an event. And that's why content like that really makes me mad. Artists are gambling the money they earned on their art to try and appeal to a larger audience, and organizers are using that money in order to make a profit. The response to that money are two totally different situations. And if anyone was interested, the organizer did make a response video, if you can call it that, to my video. They never really addressed my video, but they addressed some of the comments from people who had seen my video and found their account. They addressed some of those comments. It was like 3 or 4 minutes long, and it didn't really address any of the topics that I brought up in this video or in the video, but the main takeaway of their response video was that, much like in the same way artists can make content about the frustrating experiences we can have with customers, this organizer can also make content about the frustrating experiences they have with artists. And that small companies or small groups of people putting together events should have different expectations and should get all the help they can get in promoting an event. And I couldn't disagree more. It's one thing for artists to make content about generalized experiences that every artist can relate to as people that sell to like the general public. Everybody can relate to a conversation about a boomer not understanding, like, I don't even know, like your Demon Slayer fan art. Everybody can understand and relate to that as an artist. We can understand and relate to the frustrations it can be to have somebody say, like, I don't like your art, and that means your art is bad. Everybody can relate to that. That's a very relatable experience that artists selling their art can have. It's not relatable to make content as a business about specific experiences with real artists and use that to farm content. That's not relatable, and it's not, like, comparable either. The dynamic is completely different. On one hand, artists are making content about, like, theoretical or generalized experiences that happen with people who usually don't even spend money on their art anyways, just kind of like a passerby experience that you have with the general public. And on the other hand, you have an organizer making content essentially ridiculing the artists that paid you money specifically too, to be at your event and was disappointed by the experience. How is that comparable? Right? Like, and okay, I didn't say this on those platforms, but since you listened this far, you're obviously pretty interested. I've gotten so many DMs from people saying, this video was about me. This content from this business was about me. This business made a video ridiculing the private experience and discussion I had with this person. That is so backhanded. Could you imagine trusting an organizer enough not only to give them your money, but to be honest and give them feedback about how disappointed you were from the event? Just to go on TikTok 2 weeks later and see that they made a video to a meme audio ridiculing that experience and ridiculing you without even naming names, just to, like, put your experience on blast. Only you two know that it was from you that they sourced that content from, but everybody else on the platform seeing that video is going to comment down and agree with the organizer and ridicule you without even knowing who you are. That makes me so angry to think about. That is so insulting and ridiculous. It's not even close to being the same as what artists make content about. But yeah, I feel like I kind of maybe got a little carried away there. I hope I didn't blow your guys' earphones out. I hope you guys liked listening to me rant about that. You guys actually really like when I rant about things and talk about random bullshit that happens in my life. It's something that is really important to me, and it's a topic that I don't think a lot of artists have the courage or ability to talk about, which is really understandable. I've had some negative consequences as a result of this. I essentially burned my bridge with this organizer, and they immediately decided to ship my products that I had consigned with them back. I don't think I'll be partnering with them in the future, to say the very least. Totally fine sacrifice by me, by the way. But yeah, it was insane. And kind of disappointing to see that they doubled down on that perspective without looking at the other perspectives of artists and the kind of position that artists are constantly put in. Yeah, it really frustrates me. You guys know that the main values behind Shiduga is to support smaller artists that didn't grow up in a supportive society that supports art, or like with family members that understand what it takes to do art. So talking about these issues really get to me on a deep level, because it's just kind of reliving some of those same, like, the same disrespect and just dehumanization that artists constantly have to deal with. So yeah, thank you guys for listening to this. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at my drawing process for this piece. Actually, on a totally other note, I have never inked last on a traditional piece before, and this was a refreshing take. I was kind of waiting the whole piece to see, like, what's it gonna look like when I'm done. When I do the line art, it's kind of like bring it all together. It's either gonna make or break the piece, you know? So I kind of had that anticipation the whole time. It kind of motivated me to keep working on the piece just because I wanted to see what the line art would look like at the end. And I was very satisfied. I wanted to go through some of the products that I used in this video in case anyone was interested, so I'll list it off right now. For sketching, I just used a generic mechanical pencil. I used a Mastery sketchbook for the paper. I used Procreate on my iPad to plan out the color scheme that I wanted for the drawing. I used Holbein acrylic gouache for the piece. I used a jelly roll marker for all of the white highlights and stuff that you see. I used a variety of different sizes because the jelly rolls I have are crap and I have to switch back and forth between them to make sure the ink doesn't run out, but I used jelly roll for that. I used Staedtler fine liners for the majority of the liner of the piece. I switched back and forth between some Sakura microns and Sharpies, but both of those tend to kind of dry out when I draw on top of other mediums, so I found the most success using a thick liner from Staedtler. But I think that's everything I used. I used a pretty short supply of ingredients. Why did I say it like that? I didn't use very many supplies in this piece, so weirdly enough, I don't know. I really enjoyed making this piece, and I'm so happy that you made it this far in the video. I really hope that you guys enjoy this Draw This in Your Style and would love to see what you guys make out of the piece. More information's on my Instagram, and I'll just let you guys enjoy looking at the piece. Thanks, guys.